everybody. I'm Kristin.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching Shadow and Bone, Season 2, Episode 4, Every Monstrous Thing. I don't even know where to start with this one.
Well, since we have been starting with Alina and Mal.
Okay.
Let's start there.
Okay. Mal remembers like not a prophecy, but like a shoe legend about a sword that is like light.
Mm-hmm.
And it killed an unkillable army. And so he's like, we got to find that sword.
I think it's rich that anytime that anyone brings up something like this,
clearly
like, oh,
that's not real.
That's a myth. And I'm like, but he even said, he was like, the sea whip was a myth, and that turned out to be real. The stag was a myth, that turned out to be real.
Alina was a myth, that turned out to be real.
Right. So I'm like, you got a sword that is basically a light conduit. Yeah. That's not that far-fetched.
Impossible. So there's like one on display in the shoe temples, but they are pretty sure it's like a fake. Even Nikolai says he's pretty sure it's a fake. And so Tolia went to go look for it. I thought they were taking like a team, but it seems as if he went alone to go because
I think Zoya went with him.
Yes. Okay. So Tolia and Zoya went. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because Tamar stayed behind. Because she's in the Tamar and Nadia stayed behind because they're in the climax of this episode. Also, okay. This whole like love for the ages thing is it's whatever. I'm fine with it. I've come around on Mal. I think he's a good character. He's not falling into like the pitfalls that a lot of characters like him fall into, where like his girl is like getting with another dude, but it's just for show, but he's still pissed about it. So it's like he is avoiding all of the Gale pitfalls, and so far he has not been a war criminal. So, however, I have a hard time getting all the way to love for the ages when she didn't even realize he was missing for like a full day.
Right.
Okay, because what's his name? The other prince? Vasily. He saw them kind of canoodling out in the open in the hallway after their engagement announcement. And he was like, he just like was like, I know who you are, and now you're going to be court-martialed. He like butted him with his rifle, and now you're going to be court-martialed. So he's just gone, and Alina didn't know. You're not giving me, you're not giving me deeply in love vibes.
It would be one thing if he was supposed to go on the excursion,
exactly,
and all of a sudden he decided, like, they could have sold it like, oh no, he decided to stay behind.
Yeah.
And then it's like misinformation on all sides.
On both sides, yeah, exactly.
But the fact that she was just like, wow, I've had time to have this entire dress made, and I'm just now realizing, where is the man that's supposed to be, who says I'm his nation?
That was pretty tight.
That was so romantic.
Here's the other thing, too, though, is she was so distracted by adorably flirting with Nikolai.
Yeah.
They were flirting hard.
Okay.
What, she got beer-flavored nipples?
She is very popular, which is fine.
Yeah. It's great. It's great.
She's pretty. She's charming sometimes.
Well, she also is not doing that thing that's actually like, it was one of the things I liked the best about reading the books is that she does do part of the same thing where she's like, I'm nothing special to look at, and I'm just like a scrawny tomboy. Like, well, but it turns out that's accurate because she was pushing down her Grisha powers so hard that she did not like blossom as a woman. And so, but she's not doing the thing where she still believes that, even though every dude in a 10-meter radius is tripping over themselves to try to get with her. So I do appreciate that she's like, no, I know what I'm about, like, and I'm good. Regardless, they're having an engagement party. Also, Vasily comes on to her like real strong in her own bedroom, and she's in her all together nothings, and ugh.
I just love though that he kissed her hands and she wiped it off.
She wiped it off. It was such a good little piece of physical acting. I liked that quite a lot.
I will say, and I like that Nikolai called her on this because it's something that's bothered me a little bit. She does not hide her emotions. Mm-hmm. They are all over her face.
Yeah.
So he's absolutely correct. If she is going to be in some kind of position of power, you can't give away your thoughts. I could never, because it's all right here.
It's all over the face. She did offer also to lead the Second Army if it was like about loyalty or whatever. And that was really interesting as well. She does have a lot of allies. But basically, so they're having this engagement party, and the Darkling shows up and rips Vasily in half.
Oh, it was great.
I
So
don't
satisfying.
remember that part, so I don't think I got that far.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic. If I had to look at his weaselly little face for another minute.
I know. Well,
Barf.
Nikolai was like properly put out. He was like, you fucking invited all of these people to our hideout? What is wrong with you?
Well, it was like not even just that he invited people, but it's like
the gamblers and the
prostitutes and stuff. So it's like people who
talk
and who need and want money, who will sell them to the highest bidder. And they did, and it happened. So also Nikolai might be a bastard. He probably is a bastard.
Well, he was just like obviously.
Yeah.
Do you see this?
Hello. Hi. Do you see my hot, attractive face?
Look at my parents.
Yeah. Like, do you see my hot, attractive face and my ugly, decrepit father?
Yeah. He was okay. I was confused at first because I was like, the background actor who is cast as the king is not doing a very good job because he literally just going.
He's been poisoned.
But so then I was like, oh, right. Yeah. No, he's just ill.
He's
Got
like,
it.
He's like dying. He's been poisoned.
He looked like a fish out of water, just being like,
Okay, so the, the spinning wheel, it got attacked by the monster. They're trying to get it. Alina is like able to do temporary damage to it, but it can only really be damaged, or it only goes corporeal when it's like attacking someone else. And she did get it when it was going after, what's his name, Adric?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess it wasn't enough.
Right.
She didn't get it enough.
Well, because it blew back Alexander.
Yeah. Well, that was after. But yeah, she did physically affect him, which I think that was more about her light hitting Kiergan than it was about hitting the monster. That's what I think.
Okay.
He's obviously, he's also, he's just not very good at it because he's trying to be like, come and rule by my side. But he's, if he really were expecting her to go with him, I think he should know enough about her to know that doing it so aggressively is not the move.
Yeah, well, I feel like if he had to explain himself, he'd be like, I said please.
Yeah.
She didn't want to.
Yeah. It's very like the first dinner scene in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
He's like, come to dinner. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
So that obviously doesn't work out, but they do get out through the tunnels. Adric's arm, I think we're going to lose it. Can he still be a Grisha with just one hand?
I think you have to have both.
I don't like that they have to touch their like hands together first because it makes it too easy to incapacitate them with just like, just don't let their hands touch. I don't know. It seems a little.
I mean, it makes sense to me because it's like you have to have like the function of it.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. It's whatever. I'm like, it's fine. It just is one of those things where I'm like, because if you could still work something one-handed, but it just wasn't as strong, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's kind of. It just feels. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So anyway, they managed to escape through the tunnels. Well, though we have been separated from Nikolai, but from what I remember, he's still good. I do think they meet up again later. And they also, Nikolai was talking about, so maybe is Tolia going to Ketterdam to get the crows to help him find the sword?
Oh, yes.
I think that's what they're doing. I think they're going to Ketterdam first.
Yes, so he can have omelets.
Yeah, he does want to get omelets at some place. And he's taking all his poetry, and everybody is scoffing at his poetry, and I'm like, let Louis Tan read poetry to me.
For real.
Like,
please. Thank you.
So that'll actually be dope if he and Zoya are just in Ketterdam in the next episode. Because that's one thing that I love about this show, actually, is... And something that's sort of been happening ever since, like, the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones when they started teleporting all around Westeros because the travel was so quick. I love that we're not having, like, episodes of just, like, boat travel in between. It's really helpful and satisfying. Okay, so then I'll go... Well, Jenya and Baghra escaped. Baghra broke her whole hand to get out of those cuffs. Then she... cut Jenya loose, had her fix her hand, and then she cut them both out, and then Jenya saw her face, which is to shreds, you say, and destroyed all of the science that Vladim has been working on, which, smart move.
Yeah.
Because even when Kirigan comes back, he'll have to, like, start from scratch with stuff like that, which is great. Super smart. I love that. I love that Baghra didn't just leave. I love that she took Genya with her. Especially after, in the last episode, when Kirigan was like, I need you. So she's clearly there for something. And now that David is gone, and she's gone, that'll be really bad.
Yep.
Was the David stuff in this episode?
Yes, I literally was just doing that.
Yeah.
Because I think that was in the very beginning.
Yeah, okay. So David arrived at the spinning wheel, and I think he's trustworthy.
I agree.
He's a little squirrely, but, like, when I read the book, I read him as, like, kind of autistic.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I'm reading it.
So that's 100%. What
it's like, he's got some quirks, y'all, but he is telling the truth.
I think so, too.
He's like, what can I do to make this make sense for you?
And Tamar, because she and Tulia are essentially heart renderers, she's, like, there trying to tell if he's lying. And she's like, well, he believes what he's saying, at least. That, like, that's what you have to do. So I loved that he basically was like, I'll tell you everything I know, but, like, I don't know if Jenya's alive, and I don't want to help you make them Morzost or whatever.
Morzost?
Yeah. I don't want to help you learn how to do that because it's really dangerous, and it's like, and I almost called him Gale. Mal doesn't want Alina to do it either.
Well, because it's like, you sit there and say you're not like Kirigan, but if you use that, it's the exact same thing.
I think I think she's assuming that because she is, like, light, that they'll be good instead of bad. But I think, and I do think it's about the intention, but I also think that, like, it's not really, I think it's still an entity that's like separate, kind of.
Well, and obviously the cost will be Mal.
Yeah, well.
I mean, that is the only thing for her that will matter. So it will absolutely take Mal from her. Can't wait for that to happen.
I don't know if that happens, so I don't know.
That's what's going to happen.
That you could definitely be right.
Because I was right about how Jordy died. Because it was not 100% by...
Yeah, Pekka did not shoot him in the head. Correct.
Yep.
Okay, so that does bring us to the crows. Again, the majority of the plot. And I do think that's wise, because they are the most interesting characters on this show. Like, Mal and Alina and Nikolai, and, like, they are all existing in a YA novel.
Yeah.
But the, like, heisty, like, spycraft, espionage parts of the Six of Crows are, like, next level.
I think it's smart in that it's more accessible to a wider audience.
Yeah.
Because, like, husband Will likes this show because of the Six of Crows.
Yes.
And if it was just the Sun Summoner versus the Darkling, he'd be like, see you never.
He'd be like, I like Ben Barnes and Jesse Maylee as much as the next person, but like,
no,
please.
No, thank you.
So we've got a plan to take down Pekka Rollins, and it is by spreading around a compound that mimics the firepox, which we talked about in the last episode, to the dock that Pekka owns, and then all of his properties. That is basically as far as I can take the actual intricacies of the plan. There's, like, a lot of different things, like multiple people are going different places, and then it does do one of those things where twice actually, where I was like, oh man, so I was wrong, and then it comes all the way back around, and it was like, no, I was right. I was right in the first place. It bait and switched me like 2 different times. The first one was with Nina, because in the last episode I was like, well, there's no way she's gonna actually give Kaz to Pekka. There's no way. But then she socks him in the face and drags him over there, and I was like, oh shit, okay. I was like, well, she'll come around at the last minute, obviously, and, like, help somehow. But no, it turns out they talked about it beforehand, and this was the plan.
Yep, they just really had to sell it.
This was the updated plan.
Yep.
And what was the second? Oh, the second time was with the boy, with Pekka's son.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, that's the leverage he's using, basically, where he's like, well, I have your son, so you can kill me, but then you'll never get to him in time because I've buried him in the cemetery. And I was like, well, no, he didn't. There's no way he buried him in the cemetery. And then he was like, well, where is my son? And that's when he actually admitted it. And he was like, oh, he's in the cemetery. And I was like, oh shit, he really did it. And then we got to the actual end where he's like just digging in graves by himself. And then his son just like wanders by in a carriage. And I was like, oh, see, I was right the first time. Very funny. So it largely goes off without a hitch, except for Inej sort of breaks ranks to free some indentures from the ship that she's spraying the stuff on. And I know it's not going to last, but like Kaz was too.
He was doing
to me. Just say you love her and kiss her on the mouth.
But he was doing the thing that Jasper and Wylan were talking about. She's free now. So then he's like, okay, you're fired because in my mind, you're going to leave anyway because you were only doing this for your freedom. So fuck it. I'm the one that's saying you're fired. You can't quit. Okay. I'm firing you.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What a baby.
I know. Because he just loves her so much.
He's got such big feelings.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to handle it.
They're all trapped inside those cheekbones.
Boy, those cheekbones, I tell you.
And also, I just have to say, I have to actively like decide to say Wylan in my head because I want to say Wylan or Waymond.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like it's throwing me a little.
Yeah. So, in the end, Nina was still on their side because he was basically like, even Pekka Rollins can't get somebody out of prison. Like, if this all goes off, I can pay the guards to keep him out of the fights, but like you can't get him out of prison. Like even he doesn't have that much power. And so I think that's what essentially, and I do love that Nina did go sort of straight to him and was like, this is what just happened.
Yeah.
Like FYI, what should we do? That was pretty great. But yeah, I mean, I also do think part of it, I think Kaz is partially embarrassed that he let his emotions get the better of him with Pekka, that this has been like such a long-term like revenge plot, and also that Pekka doesn't even know who he is. I assumed that was part of their beef, like part of his beef with Kaz as well, and apparently not. He didn't even remember because he did it to too many kids.
Yeah, I mean, and what a burn. Like an accidental burn towards Kaz. Because it's like you were just one of many. I mean,
and I do think you're right because his brother died of the firepox and it looked like he had it too. Yeah. And so I do think you're right about his limp and everything. And potentially why he wears the gloves 100% of the time.
Probably.
He's never not had gloves on.
Oh, yep. Then you're probably
Even
right.
when they were like cosplaying as like Grisha or guards or whatever in season 1, he had gloves on.
And that I would imagine too that he did all of that and he doesn't feel satisfied.
Well, yeah,
he's probably mad about it because he's like, I feel like this would have felt better, but it's just like for what though?
Well, also Pekka's not dead. He's just going to prison because he made him sign a confession for killing Helene and the constable, and then he made he like signed off on Inej's indenture. So that is like, and then he gets caught in the cemetery, which that's why he sent him there. Obviously, I loved it. I do love that their plans generally go off like pretty smoothly. And then Jasper and Wylan, so cute.
I know, I love it. I love it so much.
So cute.
Like when Wylan, like you're gonna see
hard.
it.
It's hard.
But so when Jasper was like, you know, I wanna spend more time with you, basically, and he like turned his head to like hide the smile, and I'm like, oh my god, I know exactly what that feels like because you're too excited, but you don't want to show it.
It's so cute.
It's precious.
But you're right about the thing that they said where Wylan was like, I left in the morning because I just assumed you were going to, regardless. And so I think it was interesting having Jasper kind of like have to own up to his slutty little past.
Yeah.
Like, where he's like, well, it's not totally unfounded, but I also didn't know you then. So like maybe now we can hang out. Very sweet.
I love it.
Very sweet. I love his little Frankenstein workshop.
I know.
Too. It's very adorable. I think it's great. And I think that's largely it. Like Alina and everybody is like, they're kind of split up. She's got Tamar and Nadia. But that's it. But I think they're gonna regroup with Nikolai at some point.
Oh, and
he gave her the ring.
Yes, which was very pretty.
Which is hideous, but on point hideous.
Yes.
Because it is gaudy Russian jewelry.
Yes. But Kerrigan did a thing where he like spectered himself in front of Alina, or he's in her head or something. But so she had like static sunlight energy thing happening around her head, which the brother saw, and she was like in a thrall while that was happening. And then when he was going after them, she said, "Can you see him?" Yeah. So that's neat.
It's super neat. Yeah.
And so now I think she's going to need to go back to David and be like, so remember when you were like, there's a link, and I said, haha, what do you mean? That would never happen. Yeah. Now we need to double check that.
Very cool.
And revisit that. Well, I hope they didn't leave him in the tunnels.
Well, he's in like the dungeon.
Yeah. In the tunnels. So get David out.
Yeah. I wonder if Kerrigan knows he's there.
Oh. I don't know.
Like if he doesn't know he's there, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, we will.
So Inej is fired, except for I'm sure that's not going to. He was like, now all of the indentures in Kirch have a wraith, and I was just like, shut the fuck up. Dude.
I know. Like very man pain, and we're not here for the man pain.
I am not here for the man pain. However,
it's just like, shut up, because you're not, it's not even real.
I know this is not going to stick. Yeah. And it's like, but also Freddie Carter pulls it off in a way that like, it works for me. I do like that he got his revenge. I do like that he is now in charge of the barrel again, or like, I guess in charge fully for the first time, but like Pekka's not there for now. I wonder if he's going to get out of prison, or if one of his men is going to like pick up the mantle and try to like, that now usurp Kaz.
I don't know. I wonder if it'll just be quiet
for
until
a little while
towards the end of the season, and then that's kind of like what happens with them.
Like how much prison time does 2 murders get you in the world of Shadow and Bone? Is this like a life sentence, or is it like?
But that's well, I mean, there might be jailhouse justice against Pekka too, because you have to imagine
he's put a lot of people away. Maybe Matthias will kill him. And hot, because the guy that plays Pekka Rollins is hot too.
Yes, he is.
Dean Lennox Kelly.
Yeah.
Woof.
Big yes.
All right. I think that's mostly it. So we're gonna go watch episode 5. Bye.